Before getting started, this video will be available ad-free in an audio podcast form on locals.com. It's basically a better form of Patreon where I'm more active and look for topic/video feedback among many other benefits. Also, my entire content library is available now on Odyssey, which is just a YouTube platform alternative for anyone who wants to support alt tech for free. Links are down below in the description. And last thing before starting, I recently took down a video from the channel that pertained to gaming media in general. It's not some grand conspiracy. I found a few edits I want to make, a number of edits actually, and I learned a bunch of new information. It was only after a couple hours, so I thought people might not have noticed, but many were asking about it, so yeah, I took it down. I'm still working on it, but it getting removed wasn't some kind of big conspiracy or a big deal. Okay, so today I'm gonna kick the hornet's nest. Why? Because what I see on Twitch is a one-sided hate campaign against the US Army recruitment channel that has totally left the realm of reason and ignores the undeniable positives that service can yield to domestic US citizens. Here's where everyone that's about to scream at their keyboard needs to just honestly pipe down and take a breath. Take a really deep breath. Take 10 deep breaths. I am not saying that everything the US Army has done or will do is universally amazing. I'm not saying that Twitch is the right place to domestically recruit even, and I'm not arguing that the functions of war that the military executes on foreign soil are always a good thing with good results. No one should ever be so naive. What I am saying is that the US military is not a universally evil thing when it comes to benefits for those that join, and this reality seems to have been completely lost by the screaming activist horde that wants to condemn by proxy the random gaming recruiter who operates on the platform. Not only that, but they seem to completely ignore the fact that the military offers a series of benefits to recruits which can improve their life and set them on a better path, while focusing purely on condemnation of past militaristic action that this one streamer and likely any future recruits had nothing and likely will have absolutely nothing to do with. It really boils down to a media push, which extends to certain industry figureheads and even an effort to legislate that the military be barred from recruitment on Twitch, permanently. The atmosphere, in my opinion, is off the rails. What started as actual valid concerns, for instance an allegation that the Army recruitment channel was offering fake giveaways that merely ushered those that clicked into a recruitment form with no other information, turned into blanket attacks on the institution, as well as targeted harassment against whoever happened to be streaming on that channel. It very quickly turned political as well, with activists and journalists attempting to talk about war crimes and controversial military intervention from previous decades. This resulted in a series of moderation decisions by the Army Twitch channel staff, which excluded certain words from the chat room, and that is where it really begins. What followed, and keep in mind this is a channel that had one or two regular military guys streaming to an audience of maybe 20 or 30 people on Twitch, tops, was a slew of articles and provocative posts which effectively encouraged people to go type out inflammatory anti-military statements in the chat room. Things like this began to emerge from Kotaku. Quote, US Navy tells its Twitch streamers to respond like whiny cowards when asked about war crimes. End quote. The title obviously dripping with disdain. Let's read how bad it really is. The first response, quote, I am here to hang out with people like me who love gaming. If you want to know more about my life in the Navy, I'm happy to discuss, but I will not speak on behalf of others. End quote. Is that awful? Is that really super whiny? Or is that a simple retort when trolls and activists are trying to derail a small video game stream managed at that time by someone personally innocent of almost everything being mentioned by accusing and dredging up controversy that can in no way be answered properly, accurately, or even competently by an individual recruiter who is not therefore, or prepared to be even, the arbiter of geopolitical war crime debate? Let's keep going. In between calling Army recruitment in totality an inherently predatory act, yes, it actually said that, World War II would like, to give you a call and talk about how recruiting for the Army back then was an inherently predatory act. Sure, you really nailed that one, Kotaku, but there is another response. Quote, if you have concerns about Navy policies or actions, I suggest you contact the federal elected officials from your state. End quote. That's pretty much the most accurate possible thing to say. This individual person on stream being bombarded by war crime questions, they might not even know the name of, honestly, the name of these war crimes or these individual instances, certainly had nothing to do with them. This individual is referring those that want to scream against the American military to the elected American officials. That is where they should take their whiny activism. That is where they should be screaming it. Last one I'll read. Quote, I understand that some people here oppose the military and have no interest in a Navy career, but for those who are curious about what it's like to serve, let's talk. End quote. This is perhaps the best one on the entire list. It's true, many people on Twitch will have absolutely no interest in the US Army esports streams, evidenced by their extremely low viewership. But for those that do have an interest, this is just one of many forums where they can talk to someone about what the military can offer them. This is just one angle, the angle of US military sucks, war crimes, bombard this individual recruiter with it as much as you can. That will show the industrial complex who's boss. And it is parroted across Twitch with particular, very large personalities leading the charge, like Slasher. But that's not where it ends. Next up was AOC, a vocal congresswoman who introduced legislative measures to bar the army from recruiting on Twitch completely. Now, if this legally passes, so be it. I will not argue against or fight the legal process of the legitimate United States lawmaking procedure. If this endeavor succeeds, then get them off of Twitch, adhere to the law, and the issue kind of dies. I'm not going to bring it up again. However, what is being totally ignored here are the positives that US Army service can bring. I know, a lot of you don't want to hear this. You're going to rail against the American imperial machine, talk about whatever lived experience you either have or manufacture, honestly, because a lot of people do that, to drive home the point that the American military is garbage, and we should all bombard the random 26-year-old recruiter who is playing PUBG for 20 viewers on Twitch. But the reality is, domestically, purely for the purpose of career and educational advancement, the US military offers incredible opportunities. I need to once again make it clear that there are multiple angles to this. I would not sit here and say, well, when the US accidentally killed civilians in a foreign nation and then pretended it didn't happen, that's a good thing. Don't construct a straw man argument. Don't be disingenuous, and don't embarrass yourselves. Beyond that bad faith argument and justification for being explicitly anti-American military and in favor of bombarding their Twitch channel with everything from activist messages to congressional mandates, beyond that narrow-minded approach is a realization that American military recruitment can actually benefit a tremendous number of people. The US Army and many other branches have educational programs. If you can't afford college, you can serve for a finite period of time and fully pay for your degree, or enter into loan repayment programs. You are able to acquire actual usable skills while other amenities are paid for and taken care of in a lot of circumstances in exchange for years of service. A lesser thought of angle is that military service can equate to upward financial mobility. It can be significantly more rewarding than any minimum wage job, and the list of potential benefits for domestic US citizens is not small. However, and here's the part where everyone who already mashed out a giant angry comment should be kind of embarrassed. Honestly, they should. There are legitimate arguments to be made against military recruitment on Twitch. Absolutely. Number one, obviously, was the fake giveaway accusation. That's completely unacceptable and should rightly be investigated, corrected, or sanctioned, whatever it takes. Number two is the obvious demographic breakdown of Twitch. US military recruitment on the platform is in front of a global audience. In fact, US traffic makes up not even a quarter of the overall Twitch platform views. That's a sizable chunk, but nowhere near a majority. US military recruitment is going to be in the feeds of global citizens, many of whom will have no interest, or worse yet, active and valid reasons to despise the program. On top of this, though it can be said that the average user age on Twitch is 21, there is a possibility that viewers far younger will now be able to view these military recruitment streams, which can be something that parents are either unaware of or fully against even, and that's their decision as the parent. And all of these things are completely valid as a justification to advocate against the US military being allowed to recruit through that platform. But that's not what's happening here. Instead, you have arguments that banning users for spamming controversy purely for the sake of harassing the individual recruiter who happens to be on the streaming platform behind the screen at that time and cannot actually respond to any of it with any sort of authority is a violation of free speech. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of how free speech operates. And while the temporary goal of pushing the US military recruitment page off of Twitch has apparently been successful, the truth is that the entire structure of this argument is broken. Twitch has a military problem, but almost for no legitimate reason. The issue is born of an activist response to the mere existence of the military on that platform, with an incessant need to berate and attack whoever they can see on the screen with accusations of US foreign intervention war crimes, which is probably the least valid approach to any of this that you can possibly imagine. Likewise, when those efforts to disrupt the stream and provoke an impulsive response are deflected through what can really only be described as simplistic and accurate uniform statements, the outrage only increases, because not being able to verbally club some random recruiter into submission with accusations of US militaristic criminality infuriates these people even more. Nowhere to be seen are the accurate complaints. The US military does provide tangible, legitimate benefit to recruits for a variety of different reasons and through a variety of separate programs, but Twitch is probably not the right place to advertise. We saw an inkling of legitimacy when the giveaways were analyzed, but demographic reach and age access are almost nowhere to be seen when you look at the rallying of media outrage. In fact, the measure introduced by AOC targets the military budget and explicitly denies them from using any funds to recruit in any video game space. Simultaneously, it cites impressionable young people, but fails to realize that the incredible diversity present in video game spaces and the age bracketing that technically legally should exist in some of those spaces can be such that the only accountable members who should be there are of legal age. And also, any tools that are designed to restrict streams to mature audiences, that would eliminate exactly what she is trying to strip their entire budget away from being able to target. Bottom line, Twitch absolutely has a military problem, but not for the reasons that are being written about. It has a military problem because the rampant animosity between mainstream gaming personalities and media against the concept of the US military has boiled over to a point where their piddly little 20-person live stream with just some random recruiter was being targeted for kind of completely unrelated reasons. Leading the charge against the US military on Twitch is not an admirable cause when your methods involve berating an individual recruiter playing Call of Duty to the point where he has to get some innocuous deflections from his boss, and then screaming free speech when moderation words are implemented, which exist in almost every Twitch stream on the entire platform, to try and facilitate a calmer chat room. That's really all they were trying to do. The recruitment streams are gone for now, but Twitch still has an active partnership with the US military, and they will likely return. When they do, we should all accurately understand the many benefits that the military can provide for domestic US citizens and globally, but that's a whole different issue because, oh man, there's just so much emotion tied up in that. But well, we should also properly articulate that Twitch probably isn't the right place to advertise for them. It really isn't. If we can do that, rather than just screaming war crimes in their tiny little chat room at someone who doesn't even have an answer for you, well, it will be significantly more effective to say the very least. But that's it. If you want to support, there are links down below, merch, locals, Odyssey, and another gaming YouTuber check out as well, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.